I had recently moved to a small town nestled deep within the woods, and times were tough. Desperation led me to take up a job at the only Walmart in town, the one located far from civilization, and I was assigned to the dreaded overnight shift. Little did I know, this decision would lead me into a nightmare I could never have imagined. On my first night, as the clock struck midnight, I stepped into the eerily quiet store. The fluorescent lights cast a harsh, unforgiving glow on the merchandise that lined the shelves. My fellow employees, a group of equally weary souls, exchanged nervous glances as we prepared for the long night ahead. "It's just a Walmart, nothing could go wrong, right?"
Please like and subscribe.
One of them
to Horror
solemnly
Room
laughed
channel.
out loud. "Of course." I tried assuring everyone. "We will be fine." It started innocently enough. The items on the shelves seemed to be in constant flux, moving without rhyme or reason. At first, I chalked it up to my tired eyes playing tricks on me. I didn't get enough sleep last night, so I'm sure it was nothing sinister. But soon, I couldn't ignore the unsettling reality. Shelves rearranged themselves before my eyes, and products disappeared only to reappear seconds later in a different aisle. I approached one of my coworkers, Sarah, and whispered, "Have you noticed the shelves moving?" She nodded, her face pale. "It's been happening for a while now. We don't talk about it, it only makes things worse." "What do you?" I was about to ask, but decided it was not my business to question it. As the night wore on, the atmosphere grew heavier. Whispers, faint but undeniable, echoed through the aisles. It was as if the very walls of the store were whispering secrets I wasn't meant to hear. I tried to ignore it, focusing on my tasks and pushing the fear from my mind. I'm sure I was still dreaming, right? Around 3 a.m., I was tasked with checking the surveillance footage. What I saw made my blood run cold. On the screens, shadowy figures moved with purpose through the aisles, their forms barely discernible. It wasn't just a trick of the light, something unnatural was happening. Frightened, I called everyone over, and we huddled around the monitors in disbelief. Sarah gasped, "There's something here with us, something we can't see with our eyes." Fear gripped us all as we watched those eerie figures darting in and out of the camera's view. We knew we had to confront whatever lurked within the store before dawn. There was no escaping it. We decided to gather in the center of the store, clutching flashlights and makeshift weapons. The whispers grew louder, filling the air with an unholy cacophony. Shadows danced on the walls, their forms shifting and morphing as if they were alive. This was a now or never situation, and we had to do this right. As we ventured deeper into the store, the supernatural forces unleashed their presence. Shelves collapsed without warning, sending merchandise crashing to the floor. The temperature dropped to bone-chilling levels, and our breath formed icy clouds in the air. In the midst of the chaos, Sarah suddenly stopped and stared at a section of the store. Her voice trembled as she said, "I remember now. This Walmart was built on an old cemetery. They never moved the graves." We realized we were standing on consecrated ground, and the spirits of the restless dead were exacting their vengeance. Our only hope was to find a way to appease them. This was not what I anticipated in my first shift. As we frantically searched for a solution, we discovered a hidden room beneath the store. Inside, we found a cache of ancient artifacts and a journal detailing rituals to communicate with the spirits. Desperation drove us to perform one of the rituals. We had nothing to lose. To our horror, it worked. The spirits materialized before us, demanding restitution for the desecration of their resting place. Sweat dripped from my forehead as those sinister eyes bore into us. In a last-ditch effort, we promised to seek proper restitution and respect for the cemetery. With that, the spirits withdrew, and the supernatural occurrences ceased. As dawn broke, we emerged from the store, exhausted and forever changed by our nightmarish ordeal. I left that remote Walmart store, never to return. If I ever had to work in that store again, I would probably be murdered on the same shift. Story 2. I never thought I'd find myself in the midst of Black Friday madness, but here I was, trapped inside a Walmart store that seemed to be imploding under the weight of consumer frenzy. The clock had just struck midnight, marking the start of the shopping madness, and I had joined a group of desperate shoppers hunting for bargains. The first signs of chaos were evident in the frenzied crowds, shoving and fighting over discounted electronics and toys. Everyone became more aggravated as items started to disappear from the shelves in seconds, robbing people of their bargains. As I navigated through the pandemonium, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. There was something inherently unsettling about the manic determination in people's eyes. I couldn't pinpoint why at first, until I saw it. As I attempted to make my way to the exit, a massive steel gate slammed shut, sealing us inside the store. The aggression in everyone's demeanor changed to sudden fear. Panic erupted among the shoppers, including myself, as we realized we were trapped. Desperation began to set in, and we formed a small group, searching for another way out. As we explored the store, we stumbled upon a hidden door in the employee break room. It led to a narrow stairwell that descended beneath the store. We had no choice but to follow it, hoping it would eventually lead us to freedom. "The back doors are all locked, this is our only hope," I spoke. The stairwell seemed to go on forever, and the further we descended, the more ominous our surroundings became. The walls were damp, the air was thick with an unsettling odor, and the dim lighting cast eerie shadows that danced menacingly on the walls. Beads of sweat trickled down my spine. We had no choice but to trek onwards. After what felt like hours of walking, we entered a vast underground labyrinth beneath the Walmart. The winding passages seemed to stretch endlessly in all directions, and the air grew colder with every step. We stumbled upon a chamber where a group of employees were huddled together, their eyes wide with madness. It was nothing that I had witnessed before, even asylum patients never held that sinister look before. They muttered incoherent phrases about Black Friday deals, their faces twisted in a manic fervor. It was clear that the relentless consumer frenzy had driven them to the brink of insanity. They didn't recognize us as fellow humans, we were merely obstacles standing in the way of their beloved sales. This was not going to end well. As we navigated the labyrinth, we encountered more deranged employees, each more dangerous and unhinged than the last. We had to tread carefully, avoiding them at all costs, while searching for an escape route. Hours turned into a seemingly endless night as we desperately tried to find our way out of this twisted maze of horrors. The walls of the labyrinth seemed to close in on us, and the whispers of the employees echoed in our ears. The madness that had consumed them frightened me. With each passing hour, we grew weaker and more exhausted, our hope dwindling. It felt like the labyrinth itself was conspiring to keep us trapped forever. But just when it seemed like all hope was lost, we stumbled upon a hidden exit that led us back into the main store. The steel gate had lifted, and the Black Friday madness had subsided. We emerged, battered and traumatized, but alive. It was as if the first incident never happened. As the first light of dawn broke through the windows, I couldn't help but wonder if the horrors we had witnessed were a manifestation of the darker side of consumerism, or a dream where people can lose their humanity. I left that Walmart store forever changed, haunted by the nightmare of Black Friday madness and the twisted labyrinth that lay hidden beneath it. This was an experience that I would never forget. Story 3. It was a typical Saturday morning when my young daughter, Lily, and I headed to our local Walmart for our routine shopping trip. As a single mother, these outings were our little adventures, a break from the daily grind. Little did I know that this particular trip would turn into a nightmare beyond my wildest imagination. Lily hopped into one of the available shopping carts, and I pushed it down the familiar aisles. Everything seemed normal at first, but as we reached the center of the store, I noticed something peculiar about the cart. It steered itself, veering left and right as if guided by an unseen hand. I dismissed it as a wonky wheel and adjusted my course. I'm sure that I was imagining things from a long hard day at work. But I soon realized that I wasn't imagining anything at all, and the whole moment felt surreal. The cart had other plans. It continued to move on its own, taking us down unfamiliar aisles. I tried to steer it back, but it fought me with an eerie, unnatural resistance. Panic welled up inside me as I noticed that something was terribly wrong. Lily, however, seemed unperturbed, even amused by the cart's strange behavior. She giggled and said, "Mommy, look where it's taking us. Let's follow it." "No, sweetie, I don't think it's a good idea. Come on, Mommy. Let's follow the cart, please." My daughter continued to pester me until, reluctantly, I decided to follow the cart's ominous guidance. After all, I wanted to only to figure out what was going on. It led us through dimly lit back corridors and into sections of the store that seemed long forgotten. The atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were trespassing in forbidden territory. As we ventured deeper into the store, the cart finally came to a stop in front of a locked door. The door was weathered and old, with a heavy padlock securing it. I was about to turn back when I noticed a faded plaque that read, "Employees only, restricted access." Why would this cart mysteriously lead us to an employees-only section? There was no such thing that would exist, especially in a Walmart of all places. Well, my questions were soon answered. The cart, seemingly with a mind of its own, produced a key. It was as if it had been waiting for us to uncover this hidden door. Hesitating only for a moment, I unlocked the door, and it creaked open ominously, revealing a dark, foreboding staircase leading down into darkness. Lily's eyes gleamed with curiosity as she tugged at my hand, urging me to go further. Against my better judgment, we descended the staircase, which seemed to go on forever. The air grew colder, and an eerie, otherworldly light illuminated our path. "Make sure you hold my hand tightly, Lily," I warned her. "I don't want you to get lost." At the bottom of the staircase, we found ourselves in a chamber filled with relics of the past, old Walmart uniforms, dusty employee badges, and faded photographs. It was as if we had stepped back in time, into the history of the store itself. But the most disturbing discovery was the wall covered in names and dates, etched into the stone as if by a ghostly hand. They were the names of previous cart owners, and the dates marked their last visits to Walmart. It became chillingly clear that the shopping cart we had been following was not just any cart, it was cursed, linked to a dark history of tragedy and disappearance. Desperation gripped me as I realized that we were now part of this cursed legacy, victims of Walmart's haunted shopping cart. We had to find a way to break the curse before it consumed us as it had done to those before us. "Mommy, I want to leave," Lily cried out. "This isn't fun anymore." With trembling hands, I reached into my bag and found a pen. I added our names and the current date to the wall, hoping that by doing so, we could somehow break the cycle and release the souls trapped by the cursed cart. "Yes, sweetheart, Mommy just has to write something quickly." As I finished writing, a bone-chilling wind swept through the chamber, extinguishing the eerie light. The cart, now seemingly lifeless, rolled back up the staircase, leaving us in darkness. We scrambled to find our way out, and miraculously, the door at the top of the stairs opened, allowing us to escape. We emerged from the store, shaken but alive, with the hope that we had broken the curse that had ensnared us. Lily bursted out crying, and we had to usher ourselves out of the store before anything got suspicious. From that day on, we never visited Walmart again, haunted by the memory of the cursed shopping cart. Ironically, years later, I have to place flowers on Lily's grave, a reminder of the long battle she had to face after encountering the possessed object. I sat in silence, knowing that I would be next,